Hello and welcome to Owen Lacey Education. Today we're going to go through our program design series. So this is a program I've been doing for a number of years, and most recently there's been a lot of YouTube videos on this form of training. Mainly because of more research coming out, and particularly the Norwegian high frequency full body training. So this is just an adaptation of different types of research that I've done, different types of programs that have come out, and then feedback from different clientele. Now, when it comes to any program design, it's important that you mix it up all the time. So any program like this, it's important that we know that clients have the competency for the exercise, that they have the resilience of being able to train at a high frequency. So my recommendation for this type of program would be at least 3 to 5 years of training history. So at least you're training 3 to 5 years and you've done different split routines, you've done full body, you've done body part training, and you've come to a certain level of strength. So this is for someone that can train at least 5 days a week. Can this be done 2 days a week? Of course it can. Can it be done 3 days a week? Of course it can. But for ideal benefit, I like to get it done 5 days a week. And then every third workout, we cut the volume down by 40%. So week 1, week 2, it's all the sets. And week 3, we cut the volume down by 40%. So again, it allows you a bit of a deloading session every third week. And then we repeat this program for 6 weeks in total. So full body, first week, all the sets. Second week, all the sets, full body. And on the third week, we cut the volume down by 40%. So you take all your sets and you bring them down by 40%. And then we go back up for week 4. We stay for week 4 and week 5 the same, and then on week 6 we bring the volume down again, and that leads you nicely into the next phase of training, which for this type of program will be more intensification, more heavy lifting, and more of body part or movement specific, not a full body high frequency. So in this full high frequency full body, I'm going to follow a very straightforward system, an A1, A2, B1, B2, C1, C2, supersetting style fashion. Now what I'm going to go through is each one of the classification of exercises and why I've put them that way, and then we'll break them down in preceding videos in relation to day 1 to day 5. So what we have here on a Monday, we start off on a good morning movement. We follow this with a side step up movement. And now the reason why I go for a good morning movement, I'm trying to put the pressure on the posterior chain at the start of the week. Posterior chain, in my opinion, when I assess a lot of athletes and a lot of clients, they tend to do a lot of good work on quads. They do a lot of good work on deadlifting. But when it comes to the hip extension move, when it comes to that good morning movement, they tend to steer away from it. Few reasons why I like it. It loads the posterior chain in the stretch position. It gets a really good stress on the lumbar spine, the glutes and the hamstrings in that stretch position. I like a west side stance sometimes. Obviously a good morning is done with the barbell in the back position. That can be done with a straight bar, a buffalo bar, a transformer bar, a Satan squat bar. So again, a multitude of different bars that can be used, but I do like it because it really lowers the hamstrings and lower back. And with the A series of exercises here, I'm doing 5 sets. Then I follow that exercise, I superset it with a side step up. A side step up is a great activation for not only the vasa medialis obliquus, but also the glute medius. So it allows you to train the stabilizer of the knee, helps with patella tracking, and what it will do is it hits the muscular system in a different angle. And as you see throughout the week, if you've done any of my courses in relation to program design, you'll know what I mean by full range of motion of a joint, full range of motion of a muscle, and full range of motion of an exercise. And by having a whole 5 days of training, it allows me to hit the body in a different angle, different recruitment of the muscle fiber, different recruitment of the motor unit, but also a different strength curve as stress. So some in the bottom position, some in the mid, and some in the top position. And B1, B2 here is a single arm high cable pulley row. So we do a single arm exercise. The pulley is in the high position, and that allows us to get a big stretch not only on the scapular retractors but also depressors. So getting a good retraction and depression at the same time. So it allows us to put our scapula in a better position. Then the B2 exercise is a ischemic dumbbell shoulder press, where you're holding one dumbbell in the halfway position, pressing one hand and then alternate the opposite side. Then on the C1, C2, I'm working on tibialis raise and what I call a cross-body extension. So there's a load of different names in that, but where the dumbbells come to the middle of the chest and extend out again. So what I'm doing there is I'm doing 2 upper body movements, then I'm focusing on 2 upper body, lower body movements at the start in the A1, A2, then 2 upper body movements in the B1, B2, and then doing more corrective or remedial work there, some of the triceps, and then some on the anterior tibialis. That can be done seated, obviously with 2 legs, and standing with one leg. Next we have here on the Tuesday, my first exercise is going to be a pull-up meaning pronated in general, and then we're going to follow that with a Swiss ball dumbbell fly. Now what I've done there is I've put the two biggest areas that I feel the majority of clientele and athletes neglect is posterior chain and in particular upper back. So we've gone away from doing the International Chest Day, which is a Monday, and squatting all the time. Most people skip leg day, so this allows you to get legs done every single day you train, 5 days in a row, hitting different areas, developing your weak links, building a better chain of movement. Now you're not going to lift a huge amount of movement in these exercises, but overall the hypertrophy, the adaptation, the recruitment is going to lend itself and build a better body for you to push yourself harder following your 6 weeks. Then the pull-up is supersetted with a Swiss ball dumbbell fly. I like this because it opens up the thoracic cage. It gets that anterior deltoid and pec working nicely together. It allows that pec minor to integrate it, which can cause a problem for a lot of people. Then the B1, B2 movement is a low cable split squat. So a low cable split squat, I really like it because it works on people's posture. It allows you to stretch that rectus femoris, get that hip flexor open and travel into that front knee. And what that will do is the step up on the Monday that we did was what's called terminal knee extension. It was working the knee, the top range of motion. Where here the low cable split squat is challenging the knee, the deep knee bend. So although it is a quad movement, it's stressing the body in a very different manner. Again, it's a unilateral exercise. It's opening up the hips, and it's allowing that hip flexor to lengthen out. It's allowing you to work on your posture, and it's a great functional movement. Then I follow that with a reverse hyper. So again, a bilateral movement, but it's very similar to the recruitment of the good morning, but a completely different angle. So instead of the body stretching forward and moving up, it's the lower body stretching down and coming back up again. So lovely exercise, takes a lot of pressure off the spine, works on the glutes, hamstrings and lower back, all working together as a unified posterior chain. Then the C1, C2, I do a 45-degree hammer curl. I like this hammer curl with a reverse offset grip to work on the stabilizer of the wrist. I like that inclined position because it stretches out the long head of the bicep, and I want to take the anterior deltoid out of that movement, so no flexion of the shoulder takes place in that movement. And I follow that with a C1, which is a bent over posterior raise. So work on that posterior deltoid, working on those rhomboids, working on deactivating that upper trap happy people, getting those shoulders down and in a better position. Then on Wednesday we do a safety bar squat. So a safety bar is a lovely bar. I like to use it a lot because it allows people that may not have the mobility and flexibility in their shoulder to get a good squat position. But not only that, it's just a very comfortable position. I really find people can get a good motor unit activation, a good amount of muscle mass, and maintain a better position. So yes, I put it in for people that are athletes that may not have the shoulder dexterity or the stability in their upper body to maintain a good straight barbell squat. But not everybody has to squat with a straight barbell. So in my opinion, a lot of people are forced into doing exercise because that's the way it's always been done. But if you're an athlete or you're a Joe Soap, you're not necessarily going to be tested on a straight bar back squat. You're not going to be tested necessarily on cleans or jerks. So the crossover or the necessity to use a straight bar, in my opinion, isn't compulsory for other lifters. I followed this with a standing leg curl. Now, standing leg curl, I will always give recommendations on dorsal or neutral and inward or outward. But just for this presentation here, we're just going to start off with a standing. And I really find the standing leg curl really hits the hamstrings in the mid position. It's a very hard leg curl to get a lot of weight with. With seated leg curls and lying leg curls, you can get a bit more weight, even to a certain degree kneeling leg curls. But a standing leg curl with the position the hip is in, it really gets you to overload the hamstrings. You're not going to be lifting a lot of weight, but you will really feel a lot of recruitment. And then obviously we'll integrate that into bigger movements as the program progresses. Then on the B1, B2, we're going for an incline football bar press. So incline bar there, incline bench will be at 45 degrees, and we're pressing with a football bar. Why I like that bar, it likes that semi-supinated position where you can get nice and deep or neutral into the shoulder. It allows you to get a good stretch in the chest, get the anterior delt and the tricep involved, and it really allows you to get more of a greater range of motion and muscle mass activated. And I superset that with a rope pullover. So a rope on the top of a high cable pulley bent over, getting those lats activated with very little bicep involvement. We pair that then with a C1, C2 of calf presses. So calf press in a leg press machine where the leg is straight and the body is bent at 90 degrees in the C position, similar to a donkey calf raise position. And then we follow that with an ab sling, taking the grip out of the equation. I'm conscious I'm not fatiguing the grip because I know we have a heavy week of 5 sessions in that week. On a Thursday, we start now because we've gone lower body on a Monday, upper body Tuesday to start, lower body Wednesday to start, and then upper body on Thursday to start. And I start here with a military press, so a barbell and military press, really working on getting a good load on those deltoids, good load in the tricep is a big movement. I pair that with a face pull. I like a seated or standing face pull, is completely up to you. I do like a seated face pull because it stops people swinging in the motion, getting that big retraction of the rhomboid and getting the posterior delt working. What I try always do is to get people to switch off their upper traps, because again we tend to use those in a lot of movements and they can overdevelop and cause a little bit of imbalance in the scapular movement, how it rests in position and how our shoulders work from a rowing and pressing point of view. Then, I know, believe it or not, I threw in a leg extension. Wow, imagine that. People steer away from leg extension, but on healthy knees and positioned correctly in a workout and making sure that it's not the only leg exercise you do, it can really complement a different strength curve in the position. So leg extension here, done for a lot of repetitions. And then the B2, there's a 45-degree back extension with plate reach. So with a 45-degree extension, reaching out with a plate at the bottom position, really stressing the posterior chain in a different range of motion than the Good Morning did, than the reverse hyper did. We paired that with C1, C2, which is the rope push down tricep extension. So getting that rope push down, really get that extension. So what I do is I reverse myself to the pull down, so high cable, I reverse myself and then I push down. So it's a push down motion in a cable pulley away. Some people call it extension, some people call it a press down, but it's the reverse position that you're in. Again, it doesn't have to be that movement, it can be any tricep movement, but I'm trying to hit a different angle than I did with the cross body extension. And then here the C2 is an alternating supinating dumbbell curl. I didn't have enough room there, but I'll explain that as I go through the different days. And then on Friday, with a very easy low back exercise here, which is the leg press. So leg press as our A1, our standing calf raise for our A2. Then we have our mag grip, medium semi-supinated pull down. So a mag grip, if you're not familiar with it, is a great attachment that you can put in to your training routine, because it takes a very little grip effort to hold on to a lot of weight. So it's very good to overload the back and without necessarily getting fatigued from the grip. And pair that with B2, which is the decline dumbbell press. Again, changing the angles. We've done our military press, we've done our incline press, we've done our flies, and then we've done decline pressing. So hitting loads of different angles, not just going for the straight barbell all the time. Our C1 is going to be our bicycle abs, and then our C2 is going to be our wrist, our EZ wrist extensions. So rather than working on flexion, working on extension of the wrist to get that balance with the whole body. So as you can see here, high frequency full body is done 5 days during the week. I like to do it on a 6-week rotation with 2 weeks of all the number of sets on the third week. So week 1 and week 2 all the sets. On week 3 we cut the volume down by 40%. So in general what we do is we take 2 sets off the A's and we take 1 set off the B's, and that will roughly bring the program down by about 40%. So 2 sets off the A's, so instead of 5 we're down to 3, and then on the B's, rather than doing the B's and C's, rather than doing 3 we're doing 2, and that's only for week 3 and week 6. It allows that deloading, allows the central nervous system a little bit of recovery, purely from a volume point of view, not from a weight point of view. When you cut the sets down, you're cutting down the actual volume, you're not necessarily cutting down the intensity. We want to keep the intensity as high as we can. So what I'll do is, the preceding videos now are going to go on into day 1, day 2, day 3 and day 4. If you do have any questions on that, please do let me know and we'll get into the program right away.